Okay, guys, so today I want to talk about how your 9 to 5 may actually be the key to your transition to Ghana and Africa. I was reflecting on this after reading a book by Cal Newport or Newport, I think. It's called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And it gives this idea around building so much career capital and dependency on your skill in your 9 to 5 that people are willing to be more flexible with you to keep you in that position. Now, why I think this is really important is that that book demonstrates a number of stories of people that have been building high levels of competency in particular arenas. And at the same time, because of that high level of competency and dependency that they've built, organizations and workplaces were willing to bend the rules to satisfy their needs. So they were able to buy back some time, buy a degree of freedom, maybe work abroad for a while, get selected for preferred opportunities, those kind of things. The career capital is really important. Now, the other things that in your 9 to 5, that is the prime opportunity to develop the skill sets that are transferable and needed in the system here. What do I mean by that? Everything from interpersonal skills of being able to present yourself, analytical skills to take information, data, present it in a way that is adding value, technical skills, whether that be you are a deep coder, maybe Web3, or a particular machinery that is for agro processing that nobody else knows. That all of these are opportunities to build competency in areas that are of value to your organization and also longer term thinking of value to Africa. So we've spoken about the skill sets that you can transfer over. But another part is, and fundamentally, why people stay tethered to the West is the financial implications of your 9 to 5. So with your 9 to 5, that can often act as a vehicle to fund projects, ideas, businesses in Ghana or on Ghana, which is what I did. And it's a critical stage. I think why most people end up going back to the West is because they haven't factored in the fact that in order to maintain your lifestyle with Ghana, you need the same level of income that you had in the West. Now, you could either build that over time, fine, fair enough. You could even be stationed in Ghana or West Africa or any lower cost country receiving that harder currency and income. So I think where most people fall short or have to kind of go back is where they have an income that is generated in the West that requires them to actually physically be located in the West. So I've seen a lot of people who have been in Ghana and basically not made anyone aware that they're actually there. So they're just working remotely. And I don't advise that for everyone, but if it works for you, more power to you. The other thing is your 9 to 5 is in an environment which is a lot more mature from an industrialization perspective than what is in Africa. So for example, if you work for a food manufacturer, they're going to have the tools, techniques that may be a little bit more advanced than what it is here. So you can learn those and transfer them over. Any business, you can develop the skills that can transfer over directly to benefit your journey here in Africa. Another reason why it might be a key is because of your Western kind of, maybe some companies have certain prestige or reputation. Ghana can be or is quite an academic society. So if you're seen as coming from those particular institutions, etc., it gives more credibility to any business ideas or conversations that you're having with people to give a background of like, I've come from this environment, or I've worked 20 years in agro processing, or I've worked 20 years at a major exporter of X product, which is something that maybe Ghana want to start exporting in and those kind of things. That's where you can really leverage your 9 to 5. Let me give you some practical tips to make sure you are leveraging your 9 to 5 as a lease and as a bridge, not a barrier to entering Africa. Tip number 1, pick your industry well. If you're a teacher, that's fine. You could probably get maybe £30,000 a year, maybe 50K, if you work up the ranks and what have you, you will get next to nothing compared to that in Ghana. Don't use that as a means to come, because people aren't paid the same way. I would pick industries that allow you to accumulate wealth relatively quickly. And by that, I mean, pick industries that pay bonuses every year or whatever. You get maybe 10-15% of your annual salary in a bonus that you can put to one side, invest, let it grow. And over time, it helps you better get to your country of your desired country. So let's say, for example, you're fortunate enough to earn $100,000 or pounds, and you get 15% every year. That's 15K, right? And if you're planning and building, you can hire people locally with that 15K to build the solutions, or you can start acquiring land, or building your house over time, just with the bonus alone. So that doesn't disturb your overall day to day. If you're in a working environment where they don't pay bonuses, and you kind of just work every day and nothing really changes, you're not moving anywhere. You're in a trap instead of on a bridge. Okay. Another thing is to choose what you do in your organization well. So if you're in one part of the organization, but you can see there's a demand for certain skill sets that sits in another part of the organization, move around. I was fortunate enough to work in a consulting firm. I made the move from kind of pure change management, training, that kind of stuff, to data and analytics, because I had seen that as a more valuable opportunity over time. When I looked at what the world needed. Obviously, we're in an AI era now, so that's even changed itself. But that did make me more valuable to the organization and to myself and to my projects by making sure I harness the skills. So the other tip would be harness the learning. Whatever opportunities you get where people are investing in your learning, if there are any learning platforms or licenses that they have, like Udemy, Coursera, get them, use them, build your capability over time, because that capability may free your 9 to 5, might even enable you to actually be posted or stationed in an African country for a period. So you can test it out at the cost of the company and with money in your pocket. I mean, the key watch out around that is not to inflate your lifestyle expectations because you're being paid for outside, but that's another opportunity that may emerge. And even in the 9 to 5, just be intentional and deliberate, so that when you're seeking new employment or changing a job, you check if they have any operations in Africa. What are their viewpoints on that? Over time, will there something that emerge in that space? Because once you do that, people might be at the forefront of people's minds. You may have to time your release of that information to your employer, but look at employers that have a global outlook, global footprint, because even if you don't make it directly to Africa, you may make it to another environment that resembles like a less industrialized, less mature system that you can learn lessons from and then eventually transfer it to Africa. And here's how to not make your 9 to 5 a trap that you can't get out of. If you have something that doesn't pay you the required amount for you to save some disposable income, and you can't see how you accelerate through the ranks in order to get there, or it takes too long, it's probably beneficial to shift or change to try and get that bonus, increased income, disposable income, savings that you can invest in projects in Africa. Don't get stuck in something that is only relevant to that specific company, right? So there's very specific sales processes, very specific, operations processes that aren't transferable. Because oftentimes when you go deeper into an organization, or you spend longer in an organization, you become more and more specialized and less transferable. So always look for the opportunities to have transferable skills. Do that presentation, speak at that event, take on that project, because that's what's going to shape you and the flexibility you require to be in the system in Africa or in Ghana and do well. Some organizations are public sector or public sector-like. They can get you even more focused on very specific tasks. You become that cog in the wheel. And then if that is your daily reality, it's going to solidify and crystallize some behaviors that aren't transferable to a dynamic, moving, interpersonal, fast-paced environment like Africa. All in all, I think the main thing I want to get in this video out to you is that make sure this 9 to 5 is a bridge and not barrier. And don't get stuck and sucked in to the point where you can't get out. Or at least you can't have the flexibility to explore. Diving deeper and deeper into an organization is going to make you less and less able to get out. Don't suffer from lifestyle inflation. Keep things in perspective. And always, if this is really what you want, when I really knew that I wanted to be a Ghana, that was at the forefront of every decision that I made. It was at the forefront of me picking up new skills. It was at the forefront of me changing roles. It was at the forefront of me, even down to my partner I picked for my life. All of that was at the forefront. So that's even more important than what you do is where you intend to end up. Because when you have that North Star of, I'm going to be a Ghana, or I'm going to leave the country, I'm going to live this kind of lifestyle, and it's cemented in your vision, that will dictate where you go, and things will attract to you that say this is the right thing to do or this is the wrong thing to do. One aspect I must stress when it comes to building a bridge with your 9 to 5 is that you have to be entrepreneurial in your 9 to 5. You need to look for opportunities. You need to do for those projects where you can grow. You need to look for learning opportunities. You need to look for those opportunities that expose you to marketing, distribution, sales, product, all of those things, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to do those things when you come to Ghana and build products and solutions and businesses. So 100% be entrepreneurial. Being entrepreneurial at work is what enabled me to come here. So that's a tip I would recommend. Yeah, so when I was talking about being entrepreneurial at work and being able to manage doing your side thing whilst being in your 9 to 5, I'm going to show you how I did it over the last couple of years. So first of all, a key component is your environment. So right now, I'm just going to show you my setup. So as you can see here, we have 2 screens, a keyboard and a mouse, my work laptop, and my personal computer, which is a Mac Mini now, but before was a very old 2014 MacBook Pro that made noises. 90% of the work was done on the MacBook Pro for Kuro. So you don't need high tech to do a high tech solution. But this is the most important thing. This little box here, it's called a KVM switch. What that enabled to do now, you see it's my work laptop. I could press this button and all of a sudden I'm now connected to my personal station where I do all my side hustle work and everything of that nature. So what that meant was when I was doing work at work and maybe there was a quiet time in the day, I could immediately switch over to what I was doing for side hustles and get to work. And they would be like blocks of deep work, right? So I knew I had a 2-hour deep work period where maybe I'm cleaning data for Kuro or I'm planning some marketing effort or those kind of things. Another book I strongly recommend is Deep Work by the same guy, Cal Newton. So yeah, just wanted to show you my setup and how I managed to build Kuro whilst doing my 9 to 5 and maintaining my 9 to 5 quality and building something really impactful for the future. All right, guys, I think that's it for now. I appreciate your time. And if you have any questions, what do you think? Do you think your 9 to 5 can set you free? Put it down in the comments below. All right, until next time.